What if I could share with you there's proven strategies that can help with your next open house, get you more buyers and sellers, and make sure you maximize the return on your weekend. Do you just kind of feel like open houses are a waste of time? Well, that's probably because you're not getting much traffic in your place. So number one thing you want to make sure you do, you need to advertise. Be posting that on socials, on your Instagram, your Facebook. Post about your open house everywhere. This is the biggest event coming to town. You want to draw a lot of excitement for that. That, hey, you're coming to this open house. This is a great home. You're gonna meet me. You know, if you're a realtor with an active social media, you're probably getting hit up a ton with people, lenders, and other people in the real estate industry who want to take the time to meet with you. But what better way than they can go ahead and show up at your open house? Even if you don't think people are in the market, we're lucky in real estate that there's a ton of people that can have our services, that can use our services, maybe not now, but maybe later. Maybe they're not wanting to sell right now, maybe they don't want to buy right now. But what better way that they can come to you rather than you having to hunt them down, cold call, door knock. You know, what better way to meet potential buyers and potential sellers? You know, start the relationship now. You know, we're already kind of seeing a little bit of a slowdown on things. So if we go back to a big slowdown, well, you want to make sure you have those relationships, because who do you think people are going to call? They're going to call the ones that they know. So make sure you advertise, make sure you share it on Instagram, post it to your story, try and tag other people, ask for them to share it. You know, try and get as much as possible, especially for like Instagram, where it's, you know, essentially free. But also, it'd be a good idea to boost that, at least, you know, do like a 5-mile radius around the house that you're doing an open house at, and boost that Instagram like crazy. You know, as far as paying for advertising, how much is it worth for you to get in front of a qualified buyer, qualified client? Some people will spend a couple hours a day just cold calling and not get in front of, maybe set a meeting, maybe one meeting, and then they're in front of one person. Well, you can advertise, pay the money, you know, trade a little money for time, and have people come to you. They can come see you in your natural setting, do an open house. So I highly recommend to pay for advertising as well. And when you're at the place, and when you get to the house, go ahead and put a bunch of branded open house signs out. You want like 12, I've heard of people doing 20 to 30 open house signs. You want it at all the major corners. You want it, you know, directing people to your traffic that they're not gonna miss it. Also, you want branded ones because you don't wanna be paying to market someone else's open house just because they didn't have enough open house signs. And this goes great from advertising to meeting the neighbors. Second point, you want to meet the neighbors. You're like, well, why would I want to meet the neighbors? They're not looking at buying the house I'm selling. Yes, but they also own a home. And if one person's selling in a neighborhood, there's gonna be someone eventually selling within that neighborhood. Well, here's a nice little secret that you can do to maximize the amount of sellers that you can get at an open house. Let's say that you have your open house from 11 to 2 p.m. Now, show up there probably like at least an hour early, and you know, get your open house signs set up. Put a note on the door that, hey, we're gonna be, sorry we missed you, but we're gonna be, you know, coming at 11 o'clock, and you know, stop on by. That way, potential open house visitors, when they see your open house sign set up and they go there, well, you're not gonna be there because you're going around knocking on neighbors. Here's a little tip. You can kind of decide exactly how much money you want to spend, but when you go meet the neighbors, knock on their door. This is before you have the open house. Say, hey, I'm James Hund. I'm doing an open house right over here at 325 Main Street. And I just wanted to apologize for all the traffic that we're having. And here, have a $10 Starbucks gift card. I apologize, and say thank you, and you can just start walking away and see what happens. If you are giving people something, that's an easy way to door knock. You're not selling them anything. You're apologizing for the inconvenience, and you can go ahead and get them something. So I used to do this a lot back at my remodeling and construction business. I would go around before we started a project, and I just introduce myself, get my card, maybe I'll give them a local gift card somewhere, and I just apologize. Hey, just want to introduce myself. We're going to be doing this siding project over here. If there's too much noise, I want to apologize beforehand. Just please, here's my number. Please give me a call and I'll take care of it. And apologize for the inconvenience. When you make an introduction like that to a homeowner, do you think they're going to be on guard and like slamming the door on your face? No, they'll be like, oh, thank you very much. Don't even worry about it. It's fine. I'm sure it's going to be fine. And then you can also, here's another strategy. You can combine these two. You can hold a exclusive open house just for the neighbors. So before the open house starts, you can go around, knock on a neighbor's door, personally invite them. You can even show them the property flyer, personally invite them to the open house. Do you think neighbors would be interested in their neighbor's house and taking a look at that? You bet they are. So a perfect opportunity to get local home buyers in your area to in front of you, introduction, meet you in person, and then see the amount of sellers that you get skyrocket. So yes, open houses can definitely be used for getting more listings. Number 3, do your research and know the area. Know where you're at. Know where the local grocery store is. Know what the best schools are. Be familiar with that area, just like if you live there yourself. So spend a little time beforehand. I usually go the day before and I just check out the area. Maybe might even make like a date night out of it and head down there so I can really know the area before the open house. And also with knowing where you're at, make sure you read the MLS and be knowledgeable about the house. There's nothing worse than if they ask you, oh, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms? And you don't even know that simple information because you just showed up there right before the open house started. Well, do you think they're really going to choose you to sell their house or help them buy a house? Most people don't know that we're holding the open house, that we're not the actual ones selling it, that we are just holding an open house. For example, you ever go to buy a car and the salesperson knew nothing about the vehicle and was just rude and just told you, I don't know, we got a ton of cars in here. You want to deal with that person? Hell no. You might buy the car if it's a good deal, but there's no value there. So why in our industry, when there's so many real estate agents, how are you setting yourself apart? Well, if you're just not even doing the research, then you might find another job. Just kidding. You're here and you're watching this video, so you are working on your craft. Make things fun. Be fun and professional when you're doing your open house. When people come into your open house, welcome them like they're your best friend that just walked in the door and they just flew in from out of town. Make a personal connection with them. Be fun. People have to deal with their jobs, and a lot of people have jobs they don't really like, where people are very serious and it's kind of boring, and so it's their weekend. They want to go out, they want to have fun. They're kind of making a little trip out of this, a little, maybe a mini date during the day to go look at open houses. So be fun, be enjoyable to be around, and be courteous. Introduce yourself. You don't even have to ask them for their name, because you'd be like, hey, I'm James Hund, pleasure to meet you. You can do it with your own style, but be professional, be fun, be enjoyable. I don't even have to ask for people's names, because when they walk in, strike up a conversation with them, I'll introduce myself, say, hey, James Hund, what brings you in here? They're like, well, of course, I'm gonna check out this open house. Like, gotcha. I'm Jason, good to meet you. And right away, you could kind of tailor it to what fits you, and depending on like what COVID's doing and if they're wanting to shake a hand. But be friendly, be personable, and that way right away you got their name. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. Well, we've already showed you how they can know you, they can like you, and now they need to trust you. Number 5, build trust in the relationship. As we talked about, know your numbers, know the house, know the area. Be the local neighborhood guide is what you should think of that. And also be genuine. If you're not a person that's like, oh my gosh, you gotta get to this wacky inflatable arm man, like get over here, this open house is awesome and great, like sweet, and that's not your style and that's not who you are, then don't do that. If you're a more reserved person, you can very simply say, hey, let me show you around. There's a few things I think are really cool in this house. When you're showing them around, you can kind of get a feel if they want you kind of lead. You want to kind of get them to start moving, but some people, they don't necessarily want to talk to you all that well. That's fine. Set yourself up in the kitchen if you can, depending on the layout of the place. But you want to get them in the kitchen first, because usually that's kind of the focal point that people look at. And a lot of times that kind of looks nicest. So you want to set up in the kitchen, and we'll get into what forms that you want to have. But number one, depending on exactly which forms, flyers, brochures, and what strategy you want to use, there's one thing you always want to use, and that's a sign-in sheet. Make sure you get someone's information. Now, if they don't want to give you the information, you don't have to like hammer it overhead, like say, no, you can't see this house. Off limits. No house for you. But you can ask them to sign in because the seller requested. They want to know who was in their home. It's a simple request. Most people won't really think much about it. If you just like, oh, hey, do you mind, the seller requested that people who come through here, that they just sign in? Do you mind if I fill this out? And do you mind just filling this out for me real? And then usually all of them will. The thing that they might not do, they might write their name. They might like write Dave and then just not fill out anything else. But you definitely want to get their name, phone number, email, and one other box. Are they working with an agent? Because you can watch them while they're doing it right there. You can have a lot of questions answered without having to really beat them down to get that information. It's just a very nice way to get their information and also keep them updated. If they're not working with an agent currently, then you definitely want to get to know them quite a bit better. So if they don't fill out our information, maybe they don't have a phone number. Well, here's a great way to get a phone number or an email. You can ask them, hey, you know what? Would you like an MLS sheet to look at so you can see all the details on this property? Well, most people will say yes. And since we have the sickness going around for the past couple years, that you're like, oh, well, I have it right here on my phone. I can just text it to you. And then a lot of times they're like, okay, cool. And then they'll give you their phone number then. You can either text them or you could even email it to them. Well, one of those two things is what you usually want to be able to contact a future buyer or a future seller. So before you even really start a house tour, there's some ways that you can get people's information that you can follow up later with them. Because usually most people who are in open houses will eventually buy or sell a home at some point in their life. So you want to make sure you stay in contact with them. And there you can do it without being annoying about it. Here's one more tip that might be the most important one of them all. It's all about the FU. I'm kidding, but seriously, FU, follow up. Now we just went through and we have all these buyers and sellers coming to your open house. You got their information, and are you just going to do nothing with that? No. Your goal is to try and set appointments within the first 24 hours. You want to send them a text like, hey, it was great meeting with you, and I really hope you enjoyed that house. It could be something really basic, because anything is better than doing nothing. So there's a lot of people out there, very successful people, that they won't leave the open house yet until they have texted everyone that they met with. So they'll leave extra time after open house. So the open house is ending at 2. They're leaving themselves 30 minutes to an hour or more to make sure that they're able to follow up with those clients. Because we all know how it is. Saturday, it's getting late. Maybe you got like a kid's baseball game or whichever else on Saturday night, and you don't have a chance to follow up with these people. Well, do it while you're there. Make it part of your open house schedule if you can. Or do it while you're just sitting out in a car after you just picked up all your open house signs. Make sure you leave yourself enough time so you can follow up with the people that you just met. Send a text, maybe send a quick email, and then make sure you enter them in your CRM, whether it's KV Core or whichever else, that you can consistently follow. But definitely, you're going to want to manually be following up with these people, right away. That time is of the essence. If someone's hot, they're looking at houses, there's a very good chance that they're going to be a buyer in the near future. And enter them into your CRM. So even if they're not going to buy right now, maybe you're 6 months, year out, 2 years out, well, that's fine. Put them on your newsletter if you have one, or send out emails, weekly emails. Just keep in contact with people so you're at the top of their mind. F you, even though it's the last, scratch that. It is the most important. Follow up. I've covered a lot of information on this video. I could make a second and a third video on this, but I wanted to at least give you the general direction on this, and we can go into more detail. So I'm James Hund. My phone number is 303-746-7504. If you have any further questions, there's so much more details about these different things, but I definitely want to give you the basics of how to maximize, how to get buyers and sellers on an open house. So you can just go ahead and give me a call, and we can book a video call that we can go through and talk about all these different ideas, and you can run what you're thinking about strategies, and I can tell you even more about all this, no charge. So please just give me a call, 303-746-7504. Before you go, will you please do me a favor? Will you please like this video, show a little bit of love to the subscribe button, and then hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date on all the tips for agents or aspiring agents too. Well, I hope you got something out of this video, and I will talk to you later. Bye, friend.